Defence and competitiveness central in the next EU strategic agenda to be adopted by leaders in Brussels.
Europe braces as extreme weather events hit early days of summer.
The European Parliament's largest group, the European People's Party, said it would allow new parties into its ranks on Tuesday. One notable member was Hungarian party TISA and its leader Peter Magyar. Magyar is the political opponent of Hungarian Premier Viktor Orbán, who left the EPP over disagreements on the rule of law in Hungary.
Brussels and the European Parliament helped a lot to Prime Minister Orbán to play this game in Hungary and to use this Article 7 procedure, the rule of law procedure, in his own political for his own political purposes. So we see that we need a new approach from the European Parliament as well. Our priority is to close the Article 7 procedure and to close the rule of law procedure and somehow to bring back home to Hungary the EU funds, which are crucial for the Hungarian small and medium-sized enterprises from the Hungarian farmer.
The Dutch farmer citizen movement has also been accepted into the EPP group for the first time. Its members said that their party contests the goals of the Green Deal.
We as a BBB party are very critical of the intermediate binding targets for 2040, and we will continue to be critical about these.
With its 14 new members, the EPP group now has 190 seats and has reaffirmed its position as the strongest political group in the European Parliament.
Today is a great moment for us as European People's Party. We have the constitutive meeting, so the new elected colleagues will come together. And that shows the strength of the European People's Party, thanks to the support of the voters of Europe. So that is the starting point for the next 5 years.
However, entrances have also brought exits, such as the smaller Hungarian coalition party KDNP, who announced that they are leaving the group.
The response to the war in Ukraine has had a major impact on shaping the EU's strategic agenda, a political roadmap that the next Commission must follow until 2029, designed by the European Council. As an analyst weighing on it, the Union has said it will not give up on the Green Deal and the digital agenda, but there is a shift in focus towards security and autonomy.
Now, the green transition, green policies are taking another spin. In Europe, they are put at the service of competitiveness on the one hand and security on the other, which makes sense because over the last 5 years we have done a lot of legislation with the European Green Deal and now we need to turn into implementation.
A strong and secure Europe and a prosperous and competitive Europe are the main drivers of the agenda. It will be materialized by greater industrial capacity in civil and military terms, also to reduce dependence on the USA.
There is another element which is very important here, which is of course the US election. And what happens if Trump is back at the White House and what happens to Europe in terms of its own defense capabilities in case of a, let's say, withdrawal or less support by the United States, also in the context of NATO.
Analysts agree that the willpower of the 27 EU leaders for this remain unquestioned, but what about the money needed to make it a reality?
First of all, we need to use the European budget in a better way. So there is the whole discussion about how is the new EU budget going to look like, how are we going to spend this money, and what is going to be the size of it. The second is the European Investment Bank, which will certainly play a greater role in the coming years when it comes to all these elements. And finally, new debt. Is there the possibility to create a new facility after the end of Next Generation EU in 2026?
The agenda also includes a chapter called Free and Democratic Europe to strengthen the rule of law. The adoption of the agenda will take place during the next EU summit on June 27th and 28th in Brussels.
Impunity is over, declared Ylva Johansson, Commissioner for Home Affairs, at a meeting on sexual and labour trafficking of human beings. Figures collected by Europol in April show 55 of the most dangerous criminal networks in Europe engage in trafficking.
I'd like also to thank you very much Last year, traffickers generated over $200 billion worldwide. We are now countering the culture of impunity with the new EU asset recovery rules that I put forward. We'll take away the fast cars, big houses, and mountains of cash from the criminals.
The anti-trafficking directive proposed by the EU aims to make so-called knowing use a crime in all member states.
In the updated anti-trafficking directive, I've made sure it will soon be a crime in the whole European Union to knowingly use the service of trafficked victims. Previously, this was only criminalized in a few member states, and now we're ending this patchwork of practices.
Russia's war against Ukraine has also put Ukrainian refugees at risk of human traffickers and exploitation.
Ukrainian women and children remain vulnerable and a target. The threat is not over. We need to remain vigilant. And I'm glad in March, Europol set up an operational task force against traffickers targeting Ukrainians.
Sexual exploitation isn't the only form of human trafficking. 40% of all victims are trafficked for labour exploitation. A joint action involving 31 countries and Europol to address labour exploitation of non-EU nationals and refugees was launched in April.
This resulted in 51 arrests and the identification of 334 potential victims. Inspections were conducted across sectors such as catering, food processing, beauty services, logistics, agriculture and construction.
The new directive will also help to tackle new kinds of trafficking, such as of surrogate mothers, forced marriage and illegal adoption.
NATO's top officials said China could face sanctions for helping Russia. Jens Stoltenberg, Secretary General of NATO, said China's support of the Russian invasion of Ukraine could mean it faces economic consequences. In an interview with the BBC, Stoltenberg said China was trying to get it both ways by propping up the Russian war economy, while trying to maintain a normal economic relationship with European and NATO allies. He said they shared technologies like microelectronics with Russia, which were key for them to build missiles and weapons against Ukraine. Stoltenberg said there was an ongoing conversation regarding possible sanctions against China, stating that if China doesn't change their behavior, NATO should consider some kind of economic cost. A spokesperson for the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs responded to Stoltenberg's warnings.
北约作为冷战的产物和全球最大的军事集团，在乌克兰危机中扮演了什么样的角色？国际社会自有公论。北约应当做的是自我反思，而不是任意对中国进行抹黑攻击。
Stoltenberg also discussed Russian President Vladimir Putin's visit to North Korea, saying that it showed Russia's dependence on what he described as other authoritarian powers.
Spain's civil guard, supported by Europol and the United States FBI, has dismantled one of the largest media centers linked to so-called Islamic State. Spanish authorities have also arrested 9 people in Girona, Cadiz, Almeria and Tenerife. 2 of them have been remanded in custody. The centre's servers were used to disseminate worldwide propaganda through radio stations, news agencies and social media, and sent messages capable of inciting terrorism in at least 30 languages. The network ordered the unsuccessful attack on a bus carrying Real Madrid footballers and also sent messages encouraging attacks on the Euros in Germany and the Paris Olympics.
In its first days of summer, Turkey is hit by a massive heat wave, with temperatures reaching over 40 degrees in the southern and western regions of the country. Both the humidity rate and the temperature felt are above seasonal norms, as people rushed to the sea. Hungary is also suffering from a massive heat wave. The country's national chief medical officer has issued the highest level of heat alert, a level 3 warning, which is in place until midnight on Saturday across the entire country. Experts urge everyone to drink more fluids, as they warn that a heat record could be broken on Wednesday. The European Championship fan zone in Leipzig and Augustusplatz, Germany, were temporarily closed on Tuesday afternoon due to an unexpected thunderstorm. The fan zones in Berlin, Cologne and Dusseldorf have also previously been closed due to a severe weather warning.
French actress Anouk Aimée, who starred in 70 films throughout her career, has died at the age of 92. Her death was announced on Tuesday by her daughter, actress Manuela Papatakis. Known for her roles in European art house films such as Jacques Demy's Lola, Aimée was one of Europe's best-loved actresses. She was born in Paris as Françoise Dreyfus in April 1932, a name she later changed after landing her first role as Anouk in La Maison sur la Mer. A scion of a theatrical family, Aimée lived her last years in Paris.